Hello, everyone, and welcome to Rock Studios. I'm Stan Miller. I'm the PR and Analyst Relations Manager for Rockwell Automation in the EMEA region, and I'm joined by Scott Genereux. He is our Chief Revenue Officer for Rockwell Automation. Scott, welcome to the studio.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. And so we're here to talk about kind of the view from the C-suite. You have a lot of conversations with customers, high levels within the organizations. And my first question, just from your opinion, what are some of the common themes that industrial executive decision makers are considering in the conversations? What's on their mind and what are you hearing?
Yeah, it's a great question. I've talked to, at least over 100 customers in the last 18 months, and there's a common theme that comes up on all of them. Sustainability, is huge. There isn't a customer I don't talk to where that doesn't come up in one capacity to another, and at all different levels, but it's definitely top of mind. Another one is the digital transformation. I joke a little about that because, when I ask them what they mean by that, it's not always the same. Unlike sustainability, it's very clear what people want to do. Digital, transformation is a little different, but it's definitely up there and people see huge value in it. The big issue there is it's just such a big, subject. I think they're all looking for help of figuring out where to take that first bite and how to go do it. And the other one that comes up a lot is cyber. Cybersecurity, cyber threats. It's clearly top of mind of a lot of our customers, and it's very different than what they do on the IT side versus the manufacturing side. So, the goodness is that we're strong in all three of those areas, and they're looking for help. They're not necessarily looking for answers to everything, but they're looking for help to figure out where they go and what they do. And I think we're aligned pretty well with it, but we just got to make sure we're out there talking to customers about it.
Scott, where does cloud come into these conversations, if at all? Because you have an extensive background in cloud business, and certainly Rockwell Automation has made some aggressive moves into that space. So give us your perspective on that.
Yeah, cloud's going to be critical. Now the question is cloud critical today versus 2 to 3 or 4 years from now? When you think about most of our largest customers or even our mid-sized customers around the world, they're all using cloud, but not in the manufacturing side per se. So the only area in an average customer who's not really using cloud is most likely manufacturing. But when you start thinking about edge computing, data analytics, machine learning, all of that type of stuff, that stuff will most likely be done in the cloud, the software aspect of it. I don't see running a manufacturing line in the cloud per se. If you did, it's something that we don't have today. But I also think there is potentially over the next 3 to 5 years, machine as a service, some of those types of offerings might pop out. We've seen some startups that are trying to figure out how to go do that, and we're staying close to that. But I think cloud's going to become important. It's just a question about, just like on the IT side, what workloads do you put there, what makes sense? Bandwidth, networking, a lot of stuff that you got to go figure out. But I don't think it's a question of if they're going to do it, I think it's a question of when.
In the conversations you have with customers around digital transformation, what are the challenges that those customers they're looking to meet, the problems they're looking to solve?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the bigger issue is that everybody wants to simplify their environments, right? Do things where it's going to be easier. And they got to be careful because, the average worker, you can't, just give them a lot of tech, right? So the question is, how do you simplify it? How do you get better productivity? How do you simplify the environment? Blake says a lot, our CEO, simplifications, whoever does that the best is going to be the winners, and the ones who don't are going to be the losers. And I totally agree with that. I think the bigger question around digital transformation for our customers is when you get in a room and you kind of, present it or go through it, or they start looking at their environment, it's really a question about where do you start? What do you do? I use this analogy of where do you take that first bite, of the apple, of kind of going to do that. And I think that's actually where we can do a good job with Calypso, coming in and really helping a customer lay that out. They've done it for a lot of companies. And if we can create that blueprint for a customer, and then they can start doing it piece by piece, because it's a multi-year journey. It's not a one and done.
Scott, I'm sure that you took workforce issues with customers. You touch, and I bet simplification that you mentioned taps into that. When the conversations you're having with customers at the C level, what are their biggest concerns, or what are they thinking about when it comes to their workforce?
Yeah, it's a great question, by the way. Workforce shortage is huge right now, and it comes up on a lot of calls. You only asked me for 3 in the beginning, but that would have probably been my 4th. It comes up all the time. And when you think about what we do from an automation point of view, it actually fits kind of nicely in to potentially help that. But it's not just about, it's about workforce, it's about training, speed, it's about the shortage, but it's also, about when you think about digital transformation and, enablement, there's a lot of stuff around workforce. I think that's really starting to concern customers of figuring out how to go do that. I think so. Once again, I think when you think about automation in some of our areas about simplification and improving their environment, I think there's a huge opportunity for us to help in that area. Retention's a big one too when it comes to workforce. And by the way, no different than what we're struggling with as a company. We're very focused on it also. Maybe a younger generation that would never have looked at manufacturing or automation from that perspective.
Scott, thank you so much for joining us in the studio today. It's been great.
Great, thank you. I appreciate it.
And thank you for watching. If you'd like to learn more about Rockwell Automation, visit www.rockwellautomation.com.